Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra. That is Jarvis, and we appreciate you guys for just rocking with us all the way through this week, and really since the start of the show, but particularly all the way through this week where we saw our numbers go up past 2,500 subscribers for the Locked On Sports Atlanta network, and you guys continue to just give us those five-star reviews. So we just want to tell you that we appreciate you. And you know what else we appreciate, Jarvis? The fact that training camp, some real football, is coming our way next week, and we are super excited about it. But an interesting turn of events just ahead of training camp was announced on Thursday, and let's talk about that. The Falcons placed Deion Jones on the PUP list, dealing with the shoulder injury, and they announced that on Thursday. Some are expecting Debo to return early in training camp with no designated period that he must be out for compared to a designated period in the regular season, right? But my question to you is this. Do you actually expect Debo to come back, or is putting him on this PUP list yet another signal that his 6-year stint in Flowery Branch is actually done?
I think this is it's definitely the latter because I don't think we're going to see Deion Jones in a Falcons uniform ever again.
Agreed.
Unless they come back and they put him in a ring of honor some 10, 15 years from now, I don't
Mm-hmm.
see him being in the Falcons uniform anymore because let's just go back to the beginning of this thing, right? This was
Mm-hmm.
weird. Like at the end of the
Yes,
day,
it
like,
was.
he had a procedure in the springtime where,
Mm-hmm.
the season ended in December,
Right.
January, right? So why did you take so long to get this procedure done? And
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden now, as soon as practice starts to get coming around and the media is going to, they're going to start asking questions about
Right.
certain things,
Mm-hmm.
you go ahead and say, oh, well, he's been excused or he's not
Right.
going to be around and all this
Mm-hmm.
good stuff. He had a procedure, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Now you fast forward to right before we get ready for the veterans to report on Tuesday, you get the news of the PUP list. I think this is exactly what they started when they said that, hey, this procedure got done. This is
Mm-hmm.
why this he's not going to be around. So
Right.
the PUP list is why he's going to be around. So don't ask us about any questions. And meanwhile, Terry Fontenot is back here on the phone. Hey man,
Mm-hmm.
we'll take a second round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what's going on in my eyes.
Yes.
Like because
Yes.
you gotta have to kind of take a deeper dive into it because like look at how many middle linebackers they have on this
Right.
squad. You got Kwiatkowski, another Chicago Bear, and then that's
Yep.
coming in. You got Anderson, who they drafted in the second round. You
Mm-hmm.
you know you got Michael Walker coming back,
Yes.
who I think is going to be
Oh, no
he's my
question.
pick, who's going to be a breakout guy
Yeah.
for the Atlanta Falcons this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a lot. And those guys all are similarly built too, right?
Right.
They're not the 215, 208 dripping wet like Deion Jones. They are in
Mm-hmm.
that 230,
Yes.
235, maybe even 240 range,
Right.
and they can
And at the
run.
height of their powers with speed too. So you got the power
Indeed,
and the speed.
exactly. Yep, you got power and the speed along, and that was one of Deion Jones's, best attributes when he came
Mm-hmm.
into the league. But he wasn't necessarily the biggest guy, but that
Right.
worked for that particular system, Dan
Mm-hmm.
Quinn's system. But now, as
Mm.
we know that Deion Jones is not a fit for this system. So
Yes.
I think that right now the PUP list buys him time, and like I said, he can be
Mm-hmm.
on there for as long as he wants.
Right.
There's no time period. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to worry about any questions being asked about him when he's coming back and all
Right.
that good stuff and what's
Mm-hmm.
going on with him. And you can also work the phones and figure out what's going on. Like, hey, here's the medicals. This dude he's ready to roll.
Right.
So hey, let's go ahead and work a deal.
Right, because you make a great point. Deion Jones is one of the leaders he's been one of the leaders on that team for most of his 6 seasons here, right? But his
Right.
body, it just took him until really midway through last season to kind of look like Debo. And then think about it. He didn't look like Debo for the whole back half of last season. Part of it was probably injury, but I think you hit on something as well. A big part of it was scheme as well. And unfortunately, Debo, the human being, may fit in with Dean Pease and the Falcons organization. Debo, the player, probably does not with what they're going towards, whether you look at who they picked up in free agency or whether you look at what they did in the draft. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. Unfortunately, this might be the swan song for Debo. Now, you talk about those players who are going to be with the team and still hopefully making a splash and making some noise this coming fall. So let's take a look at Desmond Ridder. Of course, when the Falcons decided to draft him, we know that that's where the conversation started, right?
Right.
About Ridder maybe taking Marcus Mariota's spot. And then that tone changed a little on Ridder's part because as we talked with him during those early OTA days and with the rookie mini camp, one of the things he talked about was getting in the building, starting to learn that playbook, and getting out on that field. And he realized, wow, it may take a little bit more for me to be ready to be that starting QB in the fall. Now, we know the veterans, they're getting ready to come back, just as you mentioned, report on Tuesday, just ahead of the start of training camp. So now we're going to be looking at Ridder. We're going to be looking at Mariota to see who's going to likely be that QB in position based on what we see out of training camp. But that's my question to you as well. What is the ideal scenario likely going to be at the QB position in 2022? I mean, how do you think it's going to play out, especially with the Falcons being still, even today, one of those 5 teams that's interested in Jimmy Garoppolo? But before you tell me about Jimmy G, let's tell our audience about your interest and your love for Built Bars.
No doubt about it. I literally just got finished checking out the coconut brownie chunk chunk puff. Like I absolutely love the chunk puff because when you think about talk about protein bars, they're always super like hard and all that stuff, and sometimes it almost tastes like it's just grainy in your mouth. That's not Built Bar. This is these are the guys that know how to invent. They have invented healthy and tasty, and they are coming with the latest gift to your taste buds. Like I said, the coconut brownie chunk puff. It is built for the flavor that you love and deliciously chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. It's like a fluffy cloud of coconut brownie goodness. It just melts in your mouth, not in your hands. But that's not a Built Bar. That's something else. Now I'm not going to mention, but yeah, it is something that you need definitely check out. All Built Bars are made with collagen and protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provide tons of health benefits. That's why I do it. In between meals, I'm hungry, I'm starving, I need a quick snack to take the edge off. Go to Built Bar. Now, I got a special for you guys.
Yes.
For all you listeners, the viewers, go to built.com. Use the promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off of your order. What you just say, Jarvis? Go to built.com. Use the promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. That's LOCK15. Use LOCK15 to get 15% off of your order. And that's a deal that's exclusively for you.
Awesome. And our guy, Mark Zeno, I just bumped into him and he absolutely loves the Built Bar. So he gives them a thumbs up as well. And real quick on this one, Jarvis, because I want to really quickly get into another question as well. So real quick, what are you looking to see out of the play of Mariota and Ridder in training camp? And then I got one more question for you before we wrap up on the Falcons.
All right. So I think one of the things that for as far as Mariota goes, he's a guy that I think he's going to come in and be the guy. I think he's going to be the starter. Once the season starts on September 11th against the New Orleans Saints and Jameis Winston and friends come to town, I think that's going to be the case, and I think that Desmond Ridder is a guy going to be brought along. If he's going to play, I think it's going to be because of injury, because Marcus Mariota does not play full seasons. He never played 16 games in a 16-game season, so I'm not assuming that he's going to play in a 17-game season. So, and I think that the reason why Ridder plays this year, and I think it's going to be mostly because Mariota is not going to be able to play.
Agreed. Absolutely. And as we are wrapping up, you think about the wide receiver room and the tight end room, it's pretty darn crowded. So we know that there is quantity in that room, and we know the quality, the cream of the crop would be, of course, Kyle Pitts and Drake London. But in terms of quality in that receiving and tight end room, who are you looking to see step up so that whether it's Mariota or it's Ridder, we know that they have additional strong weapons in that core?
You know what? There's two names that come to my mind when you think about this. It's a guy who was on this roster last year, and Olamide Zaccheaus and Alden Tate. Because the reason why Zaccheaus come to my mind is because I think that he's a guy that he doesn't look like everybody else in that receiver room, and I think you need some variety. I think you need a
Yes,
different style guy, a different type
agree.
of body, a different body type. So, to be able to throw out there on the field because, you
Hmm.
talk about matchups in basketball, like, oh, this guy's 6'8", this guy's 6'7", and all of that
Hmm.
stuff. And he presents these type of advantages on the court. But I
Yeah.
think football kind of works in the same manner, right?
Okay.
Like you have Drake London is a 6'5" guy, 215, 220. Yeah, he has his advantages, but I think a guy like a 5'11" or 6 feet, like Zacchaeus, that's the type of person who presents his own advantages as well.
As well.
Once you put
Yes.
him in that slot, so I think that that's a guy I'd be looking for, and also I think Alden Tate, he had some injuries up in Cincinnati, and that wide receiver room got filled with buku amount of talent, so
Yes.
he had no choice but to be gone. But so I think that him having something to prove down here for the Falcons, I think it's going to be something that I think that Falcons fans should be on the lookout for.
Indeed. And when we come back, we'll tell you something you need to be on the lookout for in the pettiness of another team in the NL East. We'll talk about it and for the culture when we get back.